Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Some interesting conversations coming out of the police murdering, your choice of words. 13-year-old Andy Lopez for carrying a toy AK-47 and mistaking it for the real thing. I guess that would probably be killing rather than murdering. That said, and I got to tell you, there's a schism in the Hartman household on this. My wife, we raised three children, one of them a boy, and never bought or allowed to have bought for our children toy guns, period. End of discussion. I did take all three of my kids at different times to rifle ranges and shooting ranges, and they've all hung out with my brother who has his own. And they've all fired weapons. They're familiar with them. But not the toy stuff. I'm personally of the opinion that if toy guns are going to be sold, whether they're BB guns or pellet guns or paint guns or just toy guns that are toys, that they should be so incredibly obviously not real guns. In other words, they should be pink or bright blue or bright red by law. That what happened to young Mr. Lopez, Andy Lopez, could never happen again. My wife Louise is of the opinion that we should simply ban the manufacture and sale of them. Neil McCabe is on the line, conservative commentator, editor of the Guns Patriots Newsletter for Human Events. Neil W. McCabe, McCabe.com, the website. Neil, welcome back to the program.
Hey, great to be with you, Tom. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, and the very best to you and your family for the holiday season. You heard my intro, and you understand, and I'm sure, and have heard my position on this. And Louise never tried to stop Justin from when he would make a toy gun out of a tree limb or out of Legos. That wasn't the point. The point, because boys will be boys. The point was we're not going to empower or enable our children from thinking of guns as toys. Guns are lethal weapons. It's one of the reasons I took them to the shooting range and had them shoot these things and had them have some rudimentary instruction in them so that they would know if they ever, at any point in their life, found themselves just sitting in somebody's living room and, hey, there's a gun on the table or whatever, that they would have some understanding of, this is not a toy. So your thoughts on my thoughts.
Well, I guess in full disclosure, growing up in my house with my brother and all the boys on the streets, we would run around and play with toy guns. But my mother always threw our toy guns away, and we were always, my brother and I were always the boys running around with sticks. And what had happened is when my mother was growing up, two of her friends were playing down the street. One of them, the father was a police officer. The kid grabbed his father's gun, assuming it was a toy, and shot his friend, dead in the front lawn. Yeah. And ever since then, my mother just felt, it's probably very close to, to the way you were saying your wife was feeling. On the other hand, we have to be very careful when we just ban something just because the police, if maybe the police feel that this is the only. If you don't do this, we're just going to keep killing children. We've covered this in Guns and Patriots. It was a terrible tragedy. Police officers are supposed to be trained on when to shoot and when not to shoot. I've had that training when I was active duty in the Coast Guard before I deployed to Iraq. I'm sure law enforcement officers do it on a fairly regular basis.
Well, I'm guessing. You're the keeper of the statistics here. You publish the newsletter. I'm guessing that the vast majority of police officers, police departments, police spokespeople, just like the vast majority of them support the assault weapons ban, just like the vast majority of them support closing the gun show loophole, the vast majority of them support toy guns being visibly, unmistakably identifiable, even from a distance, as a toy gun.
Well, obviously, I respect and listen to the opinions of law enforcement, but that's not how we run this country. We just don't take a poll among police officers. The fact of the matter is, it's kids are going to be kids. It's and maybe my brother Sean and I were running around with sticks but Matt, Marty, Jim, and everybody else on the street had a toy gun, and you're just going to ban them. It seems a little drastic.
Yeah. Well, I also think, Neil, we have to admit that you and I, being white and middle class and playing with cap guns in a neighborhood in the 1950s or 60s. I'm not sure your age. In my case, it was the 50s.
70s in Franklin, Mass.
Okay.
So
in the 70s. So you're
Brady Bunch neighborhood.
Yeah, but still, the point is that when we were kids, it was far less likely that a police officer driving by, seeing you or me at the age of 8 with a cap gun, would immediately assume that we were sitting there with a Glock 9.
Oh, I think that there's, you're isolating on a problem with law enforcement today. I think that law enforcement, they need to address.
Well, it's not just law enforcement because we have such an armed populace, Neil. I mean, look at this young woman who her car broke down and she came to this guy's front door and was banging on the door saying, "Please help me." He opens the door and blows her away. I mean, it's like it's not just police who may shoot if they think somebody's armed, and this guy didn't even have any evidence she was armed. She was just, knocking on the door while black. But the fact of the matter is that if people who are armed, whether they're police officers or not, can't unambiguously tell that something is not a weapon, there are so many weapons in our society now compared to just 30 years ago that I think it's a dangerous thing and that we should mandate that. This is a government regulation that I thought you would support.
Well, I'm sympathetic, but I also have constitutional concerns, and I also have commercial concerns.
There's no constitutional concern that regards toys.
Well, according to the toy Constitution, Congress shall not infringe.
No, seriously, the Second Amendment does not apply to toys. You and I both know that.
It doesn't apply to toys, but it also, consistent with the spirit of that Second Amendment, we don't want to stigmatize guns and weapons.
Oh, come on, Neil. If you want to be consistent with the spirit of the Second Amendment, then we need to reinstate the draft, and we need to do away with the standing army during times of peace and strengthen the National Guard.
A militia was not a draft. And the other point I want to make with you, Tom, is that
it was in the South.
You could mandate having these guns being pink, but I have to tell you that more and more, both long guns and handguns are pink because there's a substantial amount of women who prefer those weapons. I mean, it's becoming the fashion now, and so you may run into problems. I know in the service and with law enforcement, they have the sort of plastic blue guns for training,
right?
And obviously there's a reason for that,
right?
But I don't want kids to think that there's something wrong with having a gun or playing with a gun. I take your point to the way you approach firearms with your children. I think that's to be respected, and I think that most gun-owning households would absolutely say that you did it the right way.
Well, and I'm not even a gun-owning household. It never was, and never will be. I just wanted my kids to know that these things are designed to kill people, and here's how they do them. And if you get within in distance, if somebody hands you one or you're close enough to touch one, here's what you need to know.
Yeah, the first problem, though, is that, and we covered this in Guns Patriots, that the first problem is that the police shouldn't have shot that kid.
Yeah.
And, we've seen in New York City, there was an incident maybe a year ago where there were 7 or 8 people shot on the street by New York City police officers. And the person they were supposed to be hitting they didn't even hit the person who they thought had a gun.
I know, they shot the innocent bystanders. This is one of the problems of having everybody armed, is that, those were people who'd actually been trained in using firearms. But that's a whole other discussion for a whole other time. Neil McCabe, it's always nice to have a thoughtful conversation with you, Neil, and you're one of the more thoughtful guys I know. NeilWMcCabe.com, Guns and Patriots Newsletter, Human Events. Stick around. Hang on just a second.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Neil, for being with us today.
Hey, great to be with you, Tom.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye now. You too.